Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Lorna smiled, giggling. It's delicious. Knock. Knock. Hearing someone knocking on the door, Nolan immediately stood up and said, "It's Mom and Dad. I'll go open the door." He ran to the door, opened it, and saw Nicole and Jared standing outside. "Daddy, Mommy." Nolan looked at them, feeling joyful. Nicole and Jared entered the room. Then, Stanley and Tia both stood up. "You're here too." Stanley glanced at Nicole with an indescribable look on his face. Nicole shrugged helplessly. "Maybe the kids like you a little too much." She was implying that it had nothing to do with her, and it was entirely the kids' idea. Stanley understood the implication of Nicole's words. However, what he said was, "Would you guys like to have some ice cream too?" "I think I should probably take Nolan and Lorna away," said Nicole, looking at her kids. "Where are we going?" Nolan and Lorna asked expectantly. They had been thinking of an excuse to run away and leave Tia in the room. So, they were glad that Nicole suggested leaving with them. "Can we go to the playground?" Nolan asked. It had been some time since they last went to the playground. "Sure," Nicole agreed instantly. After all, they just needed an excuse to leave. Seeing that Nicole was about to leave with her children, Tia said, "I'll go back too then." "I'm afraid not." Nicole frowned, looking a little conflicted. Tia was taken aback. "Ms. Nicole, is there something wrong?" "There is," Nicole said helplessly. "The driver just asked for a leave because there's an emergency at home." "Ah." Tia was stunned. "Since the driver has left, and the kids are going to leave with Ms. Riddle, where am I supposed to go?" "Uncle Stanley, I guess we will need to trouble you to take Ms. Rose home," Nolan immediately proposed. "But Mr. Stanley is busy." Tia spoke as her voice gradually grew softer, not wanting to cause Stanley any inconvenience. With an innocent look, Lorna added, "You can stay here with Uncle Stanley then. He'll take you home when he's done." That was the perfect plan because Stanley and Tia would get to spend some time alone. Tia felt incredibly awkward and did not know what to do. "I'll take her back. You guys can leave now." Of course, Stanley knew that it was just another one of Nolan and Lorna's schemes. He did not want to put Tia in a difficult position, so he agreed. "Mr. Riddle." Tia was somewhat shocked that Stanley agreed to let her stay. She was aware that Stanley did not like being disturbed when he was working. She knew that she only got to be here because of Nolan and Lorna. If it were someone else, they would most probably be left standing outside the room. "Have a seat. It'd be a shame not to enjoy the ice cream," Stanley said as he looked at the kids. He knew very well what Nolan and Lorna were trying to do, and it left him feeling both frustrated and helpless. Then, Nicole and Jared left with the kids, leaving Stanley and Tia alone in the room. Tia sat quietly in one corner. She was even breathing softly for fear of disturbing Stanley. But the more Tia acted like this, the harder it was for Stanley to calm down and think. In the end, he gave up. "Do you still want to eat?" Stanley asked. "What?" Tia was stunned for a moment before she came back to her senses. She shook her head and said, "I don't want to eat anymore. You don't have to care about me. Just act as if I'm invisible. Let's go." Seeing that Tia did not want to eat, Stanley stood up. "Are we going home?" Tia was shocked. "We're leaving so soon?" Me being here must have distracted him. Stanley glanced at Tia and all of a sudden he changed his mind. "No, we're going to eat." Initially, he wanted to go home. But looking at how careful Tia was acting, Stanley felt that it would be a lot more stressful to Tia if they were to return home immediately. She would feel that she's disturbing him. Since they had not eaten yet, they could go for a meal and use that time to relax. Yet, Tia seemed to be even more shocked by the response. Her pitch was a lot higher. "Eat." "I'm hungry, so I want to eat." "Aren't you hungry?" Stanley looked at Tia and questioned her. Tia wanted to respond and say that she was not hungry. However, her stomach growled, and she began to blush. Stanley could not help but smile. "Let's go. Don't worry. I'll get someone to look after Grandma." Tia had not said anything yet, and was too stunned to speak. She nervously replied, "Yeah, thank you, sir." "You're welcome." Stanley brought Tia out of that place. At that moment, the sky was turning dark. The streetlights were beginning to light up. "What would you like to eat?" Stanley asked Tia. "I'm fine with anything. You can decide." Tia replied quickly. When did she ever have the right to decide on such things? Stanley frowned. Then, he switched to a gentler approach. "I can't really think of anything right now. Why don't you give me some suggestions?" He wanted to make sure it matches Tia's taste buds. But Tia seemed to be uneasy about it, so Stanley had to use such an approach. Tia hesitated a little. Finally, she mentioned a few things which Stanley liked to eat. Stanley seemed to be a little confused as he secretly sighed in his heart. He continued prompting her once again. "I don't feel like having those. Why don't you think of something different? Maybe something you usually like." "Me?" Tia widened her eyes. Then she gave it some thought and replied, "I actually do not have any favorite food." Tia seemed to be fine with anything, as long as it would not starve her. Stanley raised his brows. "No wonder I never knew what Tia likes to eat. So, this was the actual reason. Well, is there anything which you've never eaten before but would want to try?" Stanley asked. "Something I've never eaten?" Tia paused for a moment. Then, she looked down embarrassedly. "I think he has never tried a lot of food. So, there must be a long list of things to try." Knowing Tia's attitude, Stanley paused for a moment and replied, "We'll slowly go through the list and try every single one of them. For today, we'll choose only one of them. And as for the rest, I'll bring you to try them in the future." Tia looked up and stared into Stanley's eyes. She felt anxious. Is he really going to bring me to try foods which I've never had before? But was it appropriate to do so? He's the young master, and I'm just a private nurse at best. Let's go. Stanley had put aside Tia's feelings. So, he had decided to use his actions to prove himself. Nothing was impossible or useless, as long as you set your mind on it. Seeing that Stanley had turned around and walked toward the car, Tia froze again. She only came back to her senses when Stanley called out to her again. Then, Tia gritted her teeth and chased after him. As Stanley was driving along the streets, he noticed that Tia seemed to be curious about the roadside stalls. So, he stopped the car and asked, "Do you want to go to the night market?" Tia bit her lip and quickly closed her hands. "I've never been to any night markets before, but they're very plain. I'm not sure if someone like Stanley would want to go." Without waiting for Tia's reply, Stanley had already opened the door and got down from the car. Then he called out to Tia, "Get down, we'll have a look." After they got out of the car, Stanley brought Tia into the night market. At almost every stall that they walked past, Stanley would get something for Tia. Soon, Tia's hands were full. "Sir, that's enough. We have too much, and I can't finish them all." Along the way, Tia kept repeating these words, but Stanley kept buying and buying and buying. When they returned to the car, Tia's hands could not carry any more items. Bags and bags of items were hanging on her hands. Stanley's situation was no different from Tia's. The both of them looked like two Christmas trees. Tia turned to look at Stanley. Then, she looked at herself. She could not help but break out into laughter, loud and bright. Stanley smiled at that sight. After a long time, this was the first time he saw Tia laughing so brightly. That should be the look which Tia always carried. "Let's eat now. Otherwise, it won't taste nice anymore when it's cold," Stanley suggested. "You should have some too." Tia opened one of the bags and began to share her food. Yummy. Every time she took a bite of something, Tia had to exclaim. Spencer reminded her, Take it slow, we still have a lot of other foods. He did not want Tia to get full just by eating a few dishes. She had to eat a little bit of everything. That way, she could have a taste of everything. Seeing that Tia was eating happily, Stanley felt satisfied. The smile on his face was a lot wider. "Sir, thank you very much," Tia said. Over the years, there was no news about Nicole's whereabouts. So, everyone was in a bad mood. Moreover, Mrs. Wallace Sr. slept early, and Tia's sleeping schedule would also be the same as hers. Therefore, Tia never had the chance to go out. It would be impossible for her to try all the delicious food at the night market. "Are you full?" Stanley asked Tia. Tia nodded. "Yes, but it's a shame we couldn't finish everything." "As long as you're fed." Stanley threw the leftovers into the rubbish bin nearby. When he had returned, Stanley asked, "Would you like to go anywhere else?" "It's getting late. Let's go home." "I'm stuffed, can't eat another bite," Tia replied. No matter where they went, they were just going to look around. No more room for food. "Well, next time then." That said, Stanley brought Tia home. As he was starting the car engine, he reminded her, "Don't rush to bed once you reach home. You ate quite a lot, so it's better to exercise a little. Otherwise, you'll have indigestion." "Thank you, sir, I got it," Tia replied obediently. Stanley smiled and drove to the Riddle family's house. Tia leaned on the seat and stared at the serious look on Stanley's face while he was driving. Subconsciously, she was biting her lip lightly as the gaze in her eyes seemed confused. Tia had been staying in San Giotto for many years. She knew that Stanley had always taken good care of her. In fact, she was very grateful for it. But at the end of the day, he was from the Riddle family. And for she. Meanwhile, on the other side, Nicole and Jared brought Nolan and Lana to the amusement park. They were having a lot of fun together. The little ones had dinner at school, so they were not hungry. But Nicole and Jared had not had dinner. So, Jared bought some fast food somewhere nearby the amusement park. The adults sat at the waiting area outside of the amusement park while watching the kids play. "The kids are having a lot of fun. They look so happy," Nicole commented, as if they had nothing to stress about. "Although they don't have any stress, they do have some worries as well," Jared pointed out. Nicole glanced at Jared and teased, "Is this sarcasm coming from an old dad? Is this affection coming from an old mother?" Jared responded in kind. The both of them glanced at each other and laughed. "These little brats." Nicole sighed and said, "But Stanley and Tia are really weird." It was not that the both of them did not have feelings for each other. Why were they not making progress in their relationship? Jared lightly wrapped his arms around Nicole's shoulders. "Let's leave their relationship matters to them. But I always have a feeling that if I were to leave it to them to decide, they might miss out on each other." Nicole frowned. Jared shrugged. "We still have Nolan and Lana here. If they can't make it, that means they weren't meant to be." Nicole raised her brows and nodded in agreement. "That's true. If Nolan and Lana could not do anything, that would mean that Stanley and Tia were not destined for each other." Nicole lifted her head and looked at the two little ones playing happily, her gaze gentle. Then, she leaned her head on Jared's shoulder. Nicole's eyes were smiling. That moment made her feel warm and happy. A happy family should look like that: a loving partner, cute children, and unconditional love. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. Nicole arrived at the office as usual. The documents were all laid out on her desk. And as usual, Nicole flipped one open and went through it. Knock. Knock. Patricia pushed the door and entered. She seemed to be in a bad mood as she spoke. "Ma'am, we got a call from the Riddle family manor." "What?" Nicole raised her brows. She had a feeling that it was not going to be good news. Chloe claimed that she had found Ghost Hand to perform some treatment. However, the fees are very expensive. Mr. Riddle Sr. seemed to be hesitant, Patricia briefly explained. Ghost Hand. Nicole was a little speechless. What is Chloe up to again? She was the ghost hand. And when did Nicole agree to help Chloe with her treatments? Moreover, she was asking for a high price. Luckily, Nicole felt a need to keep an eye on her. So, she had informed the house butler to inform her whenever Chloe does something. Otherwise, what would Mr. Riddle Sr. do in this situation? Since Mr. Riddle Sr. had agreed to it, he would pay for Chloe's treatment. And there was no way to back out from it. Nicole was not against the idea. The only thing was that she was fine with the treatment, not scamming. Chloe's doing was not much different from scamming. And yet, she had the guts to say that she found the ghost hand. No matter which doctor she wanted to find in the whole world, it would be easier than getting the ghost hand. "Ma'am, would you like to visit Mr. Riddle Sr.?" Patricia asked in a low voice. Nicole gave it some thought before she replied, "Please arrange a visit. I'll go once I get off work." Noted. Patricia turned around and left. Nicole leaned back in the chair and her gaze darkened. What does Chloe want to do with so much money? In the blink of an eye, it was time to get off work. Nicole had sent a message to inform Jared that she would be going to the Riddle family manor. Then, she left the office as soon as she had finished her work. She also brought Patricia along with her. As they arrived at the family manor, Mr. Riddle Sr. was already waiting for Nicole. "You're here, Grandpa." Nicole went to the sofa. As soon as she saw how haggard Mr. Riddle Sr. looked, Nicole felt sad. "Have a seat." Mr. Riddle Sr. gestured for Nicole to sit down. Just as she was seated, Karen served a plate of fruits and said, "Nicole, have some fruits while you chat." Nicole looked at Karen and nodded her head lightly. "Thanks, Aunt Karen." Mr. Riddle Sr. glanced at Dylan and Karen. "You may go now. Dad, why don't you let Dylan stay here? He might be able to come up with some ideas." As Karen spoke, she pushed Dylan down to the sofa and left. Mr. Riddle Sr. glanced at Dylan once but did not continue chasing him away. Instead, he turned to Nicole and said, "You should have heard what's going on." "Yeah." Nicole went over specifically for that matter, and she was not afraid to admit. "What do you think?" Mr. Riddle Sr. frowned. All these years, there had not been any news about the ghost hand, and yet, he is suddenly found. He even agreed to perform a surgery for Chloe. Mr. Riddle Sr. found all these to be weird. "Chloe is lying," Nicole spoke with a straight face. "Dad, see." Nicole's also saying the same thing. "I find this incident very odd." Seeing that Nicole also had her doubts about the matter, Dylan immediately alerted Mr. Riddle Sr. "Dad, you really have to think hard about this matter." Mr. Riddle Sr. glared at Dylan. Then, Dylan felt wronged. Nicole is also saying the same thing. "I am not the only one who finds it odd. It's also not because I'm a mean uncle." It was clear that Chloe's behavior seems to be weird. The problem was that Dylan was staying under their roof, so he dared not comment further and remained silent. "Grandpa, at the very least we know the person she found isn't the ghost hand," Nicole spoke solemnly. Since Chloe had arranged everything, she must have a doctor and act out the full thing. So, if they wanted to expose Chloe, they would have to start with the fake ghost hand. "What you're trying to say is that the ghost hand isn't real, or this whole thing was arranged by her." Mr. Riddle Sr. narrowed his eyes. These two things were completely different. "Grandpa, actually Nicole paused for a moment, but she did not speak the truth. Instead, she beat around the bush and said, "Actually, I think we'll understand everything once we're done looking into it." Of course, Nicole believed that Chloe was acting. But looking at how tired Mr. Riddle Sr. looked, Nicole did not have the heart to tell the weird truth. Dylan echoed, "Dad, why not let Nicole look into it? I'm sure she'll be able to find out the truth." Regardless, Dylan could not bear to watch his dad give away such a huge amount of money to Damien and his family. Even though the money would not be Dylan's, he could not let Damien have it all. Mr. Riddle Sr. sighed and turned to Nicole. "All right then. I'll give you some time to look into it. As for the money, I'll talk to Chloe about it." Previously, Mr. Riddle Sr. did agree to pay for Chloe's treatments. If it were not for the treatment, he would not allow Chloe to act rashly. "All right. Don't worry about it. I know what to do," Nicole promised, nodding. "Let's eat." Mr. Riddle Sr. did not want to talk about depressing matters anymore. So, he wanted to change the conversation topic. "Grandpa, I won't have dinner here. I'm going back now." Nicole glanced at Dylan and said, "Uncle Dylan shall accompany you." Dylan immediately replied, "Don't worry. I'll take care of him. Grandpa, I'll let you know once I find out." After Nicole finished speaking, she bid Mr. Riddle Sr. goodbye and left the family manor. "Dad, let's eat first." Naturally, Dylan did not want to mention anything that would make Mr. Riddle Sr. unhappy. As soon as he finished speaking, he asked Karen to join them for dinner. During the meal, Dylan and Karen also tried to avoid the topic of Chloe or Damien. After all, Nicole was investigating the matter. They did not have to worry about it anymore. After Nicole stepped out of the house, she got into the car with Patricia and left. "Ma'am, what's your plan?" Patricia asked softly. "We'll wait for Chloe to hire someone first," Nicole said. Patricia frowned. "You mean, we'll do a background check on the doctor?" "Yes. Chloe isn't that stupid to just take the money and not pretend to have an operation." Nicole narrowed her eyes. As long as they could find out the weird thing about that doctor, everything would be clear. "Understood," Patricia immediately replied. "I'll arrange someone to look into it." Nicole took a deep breath, leaned on the chair, and stared out of the window. As compared to the fact that Chloe dared to ask such a huge sum from Mr. Riddle Sr., Nicole was more concerned about why Chloe needed that much money. Nicole could not pinpoint the reason, but she had a strong feeling that it had something to do with Nicole herself. Chloe still hasn't backed down even with a disability. Is she planning something again? Meanwhile, Chloe, who still did not know what was going on, sat happily in front of her dresser and put on a face mask. "My dear, are you confident about this?" Miley came in and asked worriedly. Ever since Miley's family had fallen, they did not have any status in the Riddle family. They did not even have the right to speak. So the only pillar she could depend on was Chloe. Even though Chloe's plan was perfect, Miley was still worried. What if they failed? "Mom, don't worry about it." Chloe smiled. "After all, no one has seen the ghost hand before. If we say that person is the real one, he will be. What else could other people say? Even if he was a fake, who could bring out any evidence to prove it? But after the operation, your legs." Miley was not worried that someone might suspect the doctor. Instead, Chloe might lose everyone's trust when there are no improvements after the operation. What would they do then? Can't the ghost hand make a single mistake? Chloe snorted. "Or else, I could say my situation is extreme and we've waited for too long to treat it. Anyways, we could just simply find a reason. After all, no one could treat her after all those years. It was not impossible for the ghost hand to fail." Hearing this, Miley was still not at ease. Chloe advised her, "We do not have any other way out now. We've been searching for so long, and there's no news about that person. I'm even questioning if the ghost hand actually exists on Earth." Initially, Chloe was still hopeful, but being disappointed again and again, she seemed to be immune to the bad news. Every message of failure seemed to not move her at all. Seeing that Chloe's face looked sick, Miley comforted her. "If there was such a rumor, this person must exist. We'll just have to patiently search and wait. We must be able to find that person." "It has been 5 years, and there's no hints at all," Chloe said angrily. "Instead of sitting around and waiting hopelessly, why don't I give myself a chance to fight?" A glint flashed across Chloe's eyes as she thought, "So what if I cannot stand up anymore? As long as I can inherit the Riddle family, she can move mountains." She gritted her teeth. "I can't lose to Nicole. I can't be useless like this for the rest of my life." In the Riddle residence, Nicole entered the living room while everyone was eating dinner in the dining room. "You're back. Come over and join us," Gloria urged. Nicole glanced and noticed that Jared had not reached home yet. She frowned a little. "He's not home yet." Nicole went over, sat down and joined everyone for dinner. "How are things with Grandpa?" Daniel asked softly, but his eyes were filled with worry. "All good," Nicole replied calmly. She did not want everyone to worry. Gloria frowned a little. "Then, what is it with Chloe? Did she really find Ghost Hand?" After years of searching, everyone thought that it was impossible to find anymore. But now, she suddenly said that she had found it. Gloria was quite confused by the sudden news. "Whether it's real or not, we'll find out once we see that person." Nicole's words were filled with an unnoticeable coldness. Stanley looked at Nicole questionably. "What do you mean?" Why did he feel that Nicole was trying to imply something else? Nicole shrugged her shoulders and replied, "We're not sure about anything at the moment. Let's just wait. The person will arrive in the next few days, and they should receive Patricia's results." As if understanding, Stanley raised his brows and replied, "I'll sit back and wait for the result then." Nicole smiled. "Sure. What are you guys talking about?" Gloria could sense that something was off between the two of them, so she could not help but question. "Mom, it's nothing." He turned to Daniel and said, "Dad, you don't have to worry about Grandpa as well. Nicole will take care of it." Stanley could tell that Nicole had a plan, and she was just waiting for the time to come. "Everything is taken care of by Nicole. I don't know what the rest of you are doing." Gloria rolled her eyes at Stanley, unsatisfied. Stanley rubbed his nose. "I can't possibly bear such a huge blame alone. The rest of the boys were not present, except for him. But the fault could not be borne by him alone. I'd like them to bear the responsibility as well, but none of them have been here ever since they got married," Gloria said. "I'm sorry, Mom." Stanley instantly gave in and swore. "I'll make sure to ask Sean and Steve to help Nicole take care of this matter." No matter what the conversation was, they were just mocking Stanley for not being married or having a girlfriend yet. That was plain discrimination. However, Stanley did not want to go through the pain of being pestered into getting married. So, he could only lower himself and admit his faults. Seeing that Stanley pretended to admit his mistakes but pushed the blame to Sean and Steve, Gloria could not help but laugh. Stanley really was a good kid. He was still a likable child even when he caused people to worry. "Let's eat. The kids must be tired already. Let them get an early rest," Daniel reminded his wife. Gloria rolled her eyes at Stanley, as if saying, "I'll let you go for once." Stanley secretly let out a sigh of relief. It was as if a rock was lifted off his chest. After dinner, everyone went to rest in their respective rooms. Nicole accompanied Nolan and Lana for a short playtime. When it was almost bedtime, she arranged for the two kids to shower and bath. Then, Nicole returned to her own room. It was getting late, but Jared had not returned yet. Nicole could not help but wonder. What's he doing? Why isn't he back yet at this hour? Could something have happened to him? While Nicole was thinking all the messy thoughts, the yard lit up. She knew that Jared's car had returned. Nicole walked to the window and looked at the courtyard outside. Jared's car slowly came to a stop. He got out and walked into the house. Nicole drew her gaze away. Just as she turned around, Jared had already pushed open the door and approached her. "You're back," Nicole said with a smile. In the next second, Jared embraced her. "Were you waiting for me?" Jared asked softly, lowering his head to kiss her forehead. Nicole wrapped her arms around Jared's waist, tilting her head to meet his gaze. "Why are you so late?" An impromptu international video conference came up. "I came back as soon as it ended," Jared explained while taking Nicole away from the window. "Oh, I was wondering why you were so late." Jared smirked as he teased her. "You were worried about me, weren't you?" "MHM, Nicole admitted, leaning her head against Jared's chest. Of course, I was worried. You could have called me, Jared cooed, gently stroking Nicole's hair. I didn't want to disturb you in case you were dealing with something important. Nicole shook her head. She was hesitant, but she ultimately decided not to call him. Jared cupped Nicole's face in his hands, his eyes filled with sincerity. You can call me any time, okay? No matter what he was busy with, Jared would always answer her call as he did not want her to worry. Nicole responded with a smile. Well, next time, I can come and keep you company when you're busy. She did not want to bother Jared, nor did she want to affect his work. Besides, she would not have to worry about him if she was around him. Jared raised an eyebrow, a hint of mischief in his eyes. Are you sure you won't be a distraction to me? Looking into Jared's eyes, Nicole quickly understood what he meant. Her cheeks immediately flushed as she gave him a reproachful look. I'd be there to accompany you while you work, not to seduce you. How could I be a distraction? Jared chuckled softly, knowing that he could not resist paying attention to her whenever she was around, whether she was trying to seduce him or not. Nicole seemed upset. What's so funny? Nothing. Jared gently grasped Nicole's hand. All right, from now on, you can come and keep me company. Satisfied, Nicole scoffed as if saying, That's what I'm talking about. Come on. Jared pulled Nicole along. Wait, where are we going? Nicole blinked in confusion. Jared's eyes glinted mischievously. To take a bath and sleep. Nicole was taken aback. She knew that Jared's idea of sleep was definitely not what she understood it to be. While she was still in a daze, she was already being carried by Jared toward the bathroom. Wait, you go first. It's okay. We can go together. I think it's not necessary. I think it's a very good idea. The sound of rushing water echoed in the bathroom, along with Nicole's discontented protests. The next day, the sun shone brightly, and the breeze was gentle and calm. Nicole arrived at the company. As soon as she entered her office, Sean and Steve came in. Hey, Sean. Hey, Steve, Nicole said in surprise. It's still early. What's up? Chloe found Ghost Hand? Sean frowned. He knew that Ghost Hand was Nicole, so who exactly did Chloe find? Did Stanley really tell you guys that? Nicole was amused. She thought Stanley was just saying it offhandedly to avoid being nagged by their mother. Are we not supposed to know? Steve was a bit annoyed. Of course not, Nicole replied with a smile. I just thought it was a trivial matter. She really did not think it was necessary to distract Sean and Steve with this, so she did not say anything about it. Sean squinted his eyes. What are you planning to do? Nothing much. Chloe has to see Ghost Hand in person eventually. When that time comes, it'll be proven that the person is fake. Nicole shrugged as this was simple for her. Grandpa agreed? Steve asked. Nicole nodded. Yes, I went back to the family manor yesterday. It's good that you discussed it with Grandpa. Let us know if you need our help. Sean said. Although Chloe did not know that Nicole was Ghost Hand, her meddling with Ghost Hand's affairs might end up harming Nicole. So, they had to be cautious. Okay. Nicole smiled gratefully at him as she knew he meant well. We'll leave now. Sean did not say anything further as he saw that Nicole had a plan. Steve glanced at her and asked, How's it going with the Ellison family? We'll do it if he's willing to cooperate, Nicole said. Sean chuckled when he saw the cunning look on Nicole's face. Let's work together then. I hope he won't regret it. I hope not. Nicole laughed. If he doesn't regret it, then it'll mean that my effort has gone to waste. Steve burst out laughing. That's true. Realizing that Nicole had everything under control, Sean and Steve exchanged a glance. Come on, we've got to get back to work and not hold our little sister back. You're right, Steve deliberately answered in a respectful manner. Sean rolled his eyes at Steve. Then he turned and left. Steve blinked at Nicole before leaving as well. Just as they left, Patricia knocked on the door and entered the room. She looked serious. "Ms. Nicole, I got it." Nicole's gaze darkened. "What is it?" "Chloe is secretly registering a company. The required capital just happens to be the amount she needs for the operation." Patricia handed a document to Nicole. Nicole smirked scornfully as she looked at the contents of the document. "So she cheated Grandpa's money for this. Damien lost Nando Corp, so she's trying to take it back this way?" Patricia frowned. "It's probably more than that." Nicole's gaze turned cold. "Turns out, Chloe is quite the scheming person too. If Chloe could successfully register this company, it would become an obstacle for the Riddle Corporation. Chloe's intentions were not as simple as they seemed. Looking at the company that Chloe was preparing to register, the entire project was a complete imitation of everything that the Riddle Corporation already had. It was almost like she was ready to compete with Riddle Corporation. "Do you mean she's also trying to get a piece of the Riddle family's assets?" Patricia's face darkened slightly. "Can she even do that?" "She doesn't just want a piece. I'm afraid she wants it all," Nicole sneered. "Well, it would depend on whether Chloe had the capability. Is she out of her mind?" Patricia was surprised. Even if she successfully registered the company, a newly established small company would not be able to compete with Riddle Corporation. Others can't, but maybe Chloe can. Nicole's eyes turned cold. "Because someone will help her." Patricia frowned. "Ms. Nicole, are you referring to Harvey or Everett?" At this point, the only people who could help Chloe were Harvey and Everett. "Harvey won't." Nicole shook her head. She felt that he was more likely to help her. At this point, if Harvey helped Chloe, it would only spell trouble for himself. Harvey was not that foolish. On the other hand, it would be much easier for Everett. He was still hiding with Lawrence and had not shown himself anywhere. As long as he secretly contacted Chloe, he had the capability to help her. Unfortunately, both siblings had their own agendas. Even if they cooperated, they were both scheming. Success might not lead to good results for them, and Nicole would not let them succeed anyway. "Ms. Nicole, what should we do?" If it was Everett secretly helping Chloe, should they give Chloe the opportunity, making Everett think he had succeeded, or should they immediately go after Chloe, forcing Everett to reveal himself? "Everett won't dare show up for now. Just keep an eye on Chloe," Nicole said confidently. If Everett appeared now, he would be digging his own grave. So, Everett would not be foolish enough to reveal himself at this point. "Understood," Patricia agreed cautiously. In other words, they only needed to deal with Chloe now and did not have to consider Everett. However, they needed to take Everett into consideration when they were dealing with Chloe. "Okay, you may leave now." Nicole showed a hint of satisfaction as she thought, "Patricia is very capable indeed." "Sure." After Patricia left, Nicole flipped through the documents in her hand before throwing them aside and started processing other files. The sun was blazing hot during their lunch break. Nicole was leaning against the sofa, seemingly contemplating something. Hearing a knock on the door, she replied, "Come in." She was expecting Patricia, but it turned out to be Ella. "Hey, Nicole." Ella placed a cold drink on the coffee table, saying, "I bought it from the shop downstairs. It's a new flavor, try it." "That's thoughtful of you." "Thank you." Nicole took the drink and sipped it. Ella sat down and said, "Nicole, I actually came to thank you. My project has been accepted." "That's great." Nicole smiled. "It went so smoothly, and it's all thanks to your help. Otherwise, I might have been done for," Ella said excitedly. Nicole assured him, "But it's also because of me that you were affected. If it were not for her, Harvey would not have targeted Bay Corp. Besides, Harvey probably would not even have paid attention to Bay Corp, as they had just started to show promise. Nicole, what do you have in mind exactly?" Ella leaned over with curiosity, lowering his voice. Nicole was caught off guard. "Ha," Ella said in a mysterious tone. "About the cooperation with Harvey. He thought that Nicole must have her own plan. After all, Nicole would never compromise with Harvey. Upon hearing those words, Nicole glanced at Ella with a smile. You found out. Of course. I might not know the inside story, but I know how you do things. Ella chuckled, somewhat pleased. Nicole gave Ella a slight smile and said, It's nothing. Just focus on your own work. All right then. She did not seem willing to talk, so Ella did not ask further. Also, be careful in the future. Don't participate in any projects related to the Ellison Group, Nicole solemnly advised. Okay, got it, Ella said cautiously. He knew that Nicole was worried about him, and he naturally did not want to hold Nicole back. After chatting for a while, Ella left. Nicole went on to gulp the cold drink that Ella had brought for her before leaning back against the couch, her eyes darkening as she drifted off into a reverie. Time flew by, and 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. Chloe's so-called ghost hand had finally arrived in San Giotto, and so she naturally turned to Mr. Riddle Sr., whom she proceeded to urge to pay for the treatment. Grandpa, let me handle this matter, Nicole said after receiving a call from Mr. Riddle Sr. Okay, but if something really happens, she might be on guard, so be careful. Mr. Riddle Sr. reminded her. Don't worry, Grandpa, Nicole comforted. After hanging up, Nicole turned to look at Patricia and asked, How's the investigation going? They've indeed made preparations. We can't find any abnormalities. If we didn't already know that this ghost hand was fake, it would be hard to suspect her. Patricia said in a solemn tone of voice. The people who were investigating Chloe had not made any progress and thus were not able to produce any substantial evidence. Nicole's eyes narrowed as she thought. Ah, I see now why Chloe got her imposter to make an appearance in San Giotto so quickly. It seems that she has prepared in advance. What should we do? Patricia asked, feeling a little troubled. She was wondering if the people involved should allow Nicole to admit that she was the actual ghost hand in person. On second thought, however, it might not be a good idea for Nicole to confess to that right now. Just let them arrange the surgery, Nicole stated, her gaze frigid and blank. Surgery? Patricia was shocked. Are we really going to let Chloe undergo surgery? Yeah. Have people keep an eye on them and monitor their every move, Nicole ordered. As for the rest, everything would be made clear in due time. On it, Patricia responded, and left the office. Squinting, Nicole then made a call. I need your card, she said as soon as the call connected. Now? Her correspondent asked, seeming rather hesitant. Yes, and if I don't get it tomorrow, someone will know your exact location very soon, Nicole said calmly. After a brief moment of silence, her correspondent yelled, You jerk! With that, the other party hung up, and a faint, cold smile crossed Nicole's lips. Meanwhile, in Damien's house, the entire family was in the living room, discussing their scheme. Chloe, has everything been taken care of? Miley asked with concern. Don't worry, it's all done, Chloe replied, seemingly proud of what she was doing. As long as she entered the operating room at the designated moment, everything would be a success when she came out. It did not matter if the surgery failed. No one had said that Ghost Hand could definitely cure her legs anyway. Good, Miley said and clasped her hands together. Then, she began muttering as if she was praying. Chloe glanced at Miley with dissatisfaction written all over her face, and said, Mom, if your prayers were useful, I would have been able to stand up a long time ago, and our family wouldn't have been in its current sorry state. With her face blanching, Miley sighed. I just hope that things will go smoothly. All right, regardless of whether it goes smoothly or not, I can only bank on myself, Chloe finished. Even if she wanted to rely on someone else now, no one could help her except herself. Miley hesitated for a moment, after which she fell silent, despondent and dejected. Take me back to my room, Chloe ordered the housekeeper with a glance. Of course, the housekeeper replied, before wheeling Chloe away. Miley turned her gaze to Chloe, feeling a little distressed and helpless. She had hoped for the best for her daughter. Chloe used to shine like a bright star in the night sky. Everyone admired her, and she was the daughter Miley was most proud of. But now, her daughter had fallen from grace, and there was nothing Miley could do at all because of the failures of her own family. She even had to get Damien's approval before she could say anything to the Riddle family. Just as she was lost in thought, Miley suddenly heard Damien's yell, snapping her out of it. "What are you staring at?" "You're back," Miley said in a soft, timid voice upon noticing Damien. "Pour some coffee for me," Damien said grumpily, already seated on the sofa. After getting him his cup of joe, Miley carefully asked, "What's wrong? Are things not going well?" Though she did not know what Damien was busy with, she was certain that he was occupied with something for the past few days, as he had been out working until late at night. "He looks upset. Something must have happened, right?" "Yes, I had to deal with a bunch of snobs," Damien cursed in frustration. He had never expected that those who used to flatter him would actually start giving him a hard time following his downfall. He knew that Chloe wanted to re-establish a company, so he did his utmost to not lag behind. For that reason, he had been trying to leverage his connections. However, all they had given him were excuses and refusals. Some of them had even refused to meet him, and had kept their distance as if they were avoiding the plague. Upon noting Damien's demeanor, Miley knew that things were definitely not going well for him. That was her cue to not prod him with any further questions. Since her own family had fallen from grace, she had effectively been made a sitting duck. To top it all off, one wrong word from her would only turn her into Damien's punching bag in a split second, so she could only keep her mouth shut for now. Damien frowned and glared at Miley, displeased. "Where's Chloe?" "She went back to her room to get some rest," Miley replied. "How is the situation?" Damien asked. "It's going smoothly. The person has already arrived in San Giotto, and Dad has responded. He has agreed and said we could arrange the surgery as usual," Miley gleefully stated. As long as Mr. Riddle Sr.'s money reached them, their goal would be achieved. Then, they would be able to spend some of it to send the fake doctor away, and the remainder would be enough for them to establish another organization and make a comeback. "Okay." Damien's tone finally eased slightly. At least there's some good news. However, he felt uneasy with the notion that Chloe would get the money and register the company under her name. After thinking about it, Damien got up and walked off once more. "I'm going out again." He simply could not stay put. He needed to find someone to help him, someone willing to invest in him or lend him money. Only then could he have some say. Above anything, he wanted the family to be under his control. The sun was setting as Nicole left the headquarters, as Jared waited for her. Smirking, Nicole approached the car and got in after Jared had opened the door. "Have you been waiting long?" Nicole leaned against the seat, glancing at Jared. "I just got here," Jared said with a smile, gently holding Nicole's hand. "What's making you so happy?" Nicole raised an eyebrow with a coquettish look on her face. Trying to remain obtuse, Jared uttered, "Guess." "You're awfully mysterious today." Nicole pouted and feigned displeasure. "Ha," Jared chuckled softly, gently stroking Nicole's hair. "You'll find out when we get there." The car soon brought them to a bridal studio. "Why are we here?" Nicole asked, surprised to see the bridal studio. "Go in and take a look," Jared said, before grabbing Nicole's hand and leading her into the studio. Once inside, they were greeted by a myriad of wedding dresses in all colors, styles, and designs. It was a beautiful sight to behold. Mr. and Mrs. Johnston, the storekeeper, immediately came forward upon seeing Jared and Nicole. "Bring us to the special section where we can see what we've ordered," Jared said nonchalantly. "All right, please follow me," the staff replied, and immediately led Jared and Nicole to the inner section. Nicole finally realized that Jared's custom-made dress suit had arrived, and they were here to try them on. "Whoa, what's the rush?" Nicole whispered to Jared, surprised. "Not at all." Jared looked at her. Although they would officially announce their wedding only when Nicole finally agreed to marry him, He had actually been prepared for a while now. "Mr. and Mrs. Johnston, here we are." The staff stepped aside, leaned over, and extended her right hand as she invited Jared and Nicole to enter. After entering the room, Nicole discovered that it was a separate section of the store. There were two well-placed mannequins, one clothed in a suit and the other in a wedding gown, captivating the pair right off the bat. The clothes on the male and female mannequins were obviously custom-made, especially the embroidery on the wedding dress, which was completely hand-sewn. It was lifelike and exceptionally realistic. There were two fitting rooms in the chamber, and in it were people hired to assist them. Upon their entry, the staff asked, "Mr. and Mrs. Johnston, would you like to try on the clothes now?" "Sure," Jared agreed and made a beeline for the men's fitting room. The stylist delivered Jared's suit to him and walked up to Nicole. "Mrs. Johnston, let me help you change into the wedding dress." "Okay," Nicole agreed and headed toward the other fitting room. Soon, the stylist brought the wedding dress in and helped Nicole put it on. After checking it and confirming that it did fit, she drew the curtain back and said, "Mrs. Johnston, please take a look in front of the mirror over there." When Nicole came out, she immediately saw Jared standing there, waiting for her. At that moment, Jared had already changed into the well-tailored black suit that made him look almost ethereal. Although Jared often wore suits, he looked exceptionally different in Nicole's eyes today. Jared looked at Nicole in awe. The wedding dress he had specially designed for her had made it difficult for anyone to take their eyes off her. "Mrs. Johnston, with this wedding dress on, you will definitely be the most gorgeous bride in the entirety of San Giotto," the stylist praised. She had never seen a bride that was more beautiful and dazzling than Nicole, who was all smiles as she adjusted her dress. "Do you like it?" Nicole asked with her brow raised. "You look amazing," Jared complimented. She genuinely looked beautiful in it, and no one could don this dress better than her. Nicole blushed as she turned her gaze to the mirror. And when she saw how her reflection looked in the mirror, she was satisfied. At the very next second, Jared came up beside her, prompting her to flash a blissful smile as she looked at the two figures standing side by side in the mirror. Then, Nicole looked up at Jared and smiled. "Thank you." Jared lowered his head and gently kissed her on the lips. "You'll have to thank me like this from now." Nicole's cheeks reddened as she rolled her eyes at Jared. "You wish." Smirking, Jared softly said, "I'm glad you like it." "Yeah, I do." Nicole nodded. She knew this dress was something he had tailored specifically for her. Though she liked it, she liked the effort he had put in even more. Jared's gaze was filled with affection as he reached up and smoothed the strand of hair on Nicole's forehead. His movements were so gentle that he looked like he was tenderly protecting a national treasure. "Come on." Nicole grabbed Jared's arm and whipped her phone out. "I want to take a picture for my phone's wallpaper." This way, she could see him anytime and anywhere. She could even imagine what they would look like on their wedding day. Jared did as he was asked. He took her phone and proceeded to capture a number of selfies with Nicole. Then, he suddenly called out to her. "Nicole." "Yes." Nicole remained still, wondering why he had called out to her when they were taking photos. "Nicole," Jared uttered again. Puzzled, Nicole turned to look at Jared, who immediately leaned his cheek to the side, at Nicole's direction. Nicole turned her head just in time to kiss Jared's cheek, and that was when Jared captured the moment with a click on her phone. Realizing what happened, Nicole glared at Jared in embarrassment. "Jared." Satisfied, Jared quickly sent the photos to his own phone and looked at Nicole with a cheeky smile on his face. "That's my wallpaper. Jared Johnston," Nicole yelled through gritted teeth. Jared then attempted to soothe her by bending over to kiss her on the cheeks. "I'll make it up to you." "Hey, who asked you to make it up to me like this?" Nicole's cheeks turned even redder. "In that case, how about I kiss you again, and you get to use it as your wallpaper?" Jared said seriously. Visibly annoyed, Nicole rolled her eyes. "I don't want to. Who would use this as a wallpaper? It'll be really embarrassing if someone sees it. Does Jared not care about his image anymore?" She pondered. Just as she was thinking about it, Jared had already set the photo as his home screen wallpaper, grinning from ear to ear. Nicole's lips twitched. It seemed to her that he really did not care about his image after all. The stylist could not stop smiling as she watched the couple engaging in such sweet and loving behavior with one another. Their public display of affection was truly a delight to watch. On top of that, Mr. Johnston, who had always seemed unapproachable, had turned out to be a big softy when he was with his wife. Indeed, it was a rare sight to behold. Realizing that there was someone else nearby, Nicole cleared her throat in embarrassment and said, "I think the wedding dress is fine. Let's just go with this." "Sure. We will keep it well and bring it out for the wedding," the stylist responded. Soon after, Nicole and Jared changed back into their own clothes and left the bridal studio. As it was already getting dark, Jared ordered Max, "Take us to Vegeta dining." "Of course." Max nodded. After that, he quickly drove the couple to Vegeta dining, where they got down as soon as they arrived. "Let's have dinner before going home," Jared said, holding Nicole's hand as they sauntered into the restaurant. Nicole figured that it was better to eat out too, as everyone at home would have likely finished their meal by the time they got home. After sitting down, the two ordered their food. During the wait, a figure appeared by the table, causing Nicole's brows to furrow involuntarily. "Hey, Mr. Johnston and Ms. Riddle. What a coincidence," Harvey said, looking at the two, seemingly in surprise. After taking a deep breath, Nicole looked up with a faint smile. "It does seem quite coincidental, Mr. Ellison." Encountering him at any restaurant was something she did not like at all. How could we even bump into him when we're eating outside? Is this really a coincidence? Harvey had noticed her tone, and yet, he feigned oblivion and cheerfully replied, "Indeed, it is. I was just feeling hungry and wanted to grab a bite when I ran into you both." "Since you're hungry, Mr. Ellison, please go ahead and help yourself," Nicole said, already starting to shoo him away. At this point, she just could not be bothered to waste her time and energy engaging with him. Hearing this, Harvey smiled awkwardly. "Nicole sure is blunt. We're already business partners, and yet, she has no reservations in shooing me away." Holding back his feelings, Harvey continued, "Since I've already run into you, I believe there are some details about our collaboration we should discuss now. Otherwise, I may have to make another trip to Riddle Corporation to see you tomorrow." It was clear that Harvey was threatening her. If she ignored him today, he would simply meet her in person at the company tomorrow. Nicole furrowed her brows. She did not want Harvey to stay, as she did not want him to ruin her appetite. However, there was no guarantee that he would not show up at her office tomorrow, even if she did not get him off her back right now. But just as Nicole was about to make him leave, Jared said, "Please, have a seat." Harvey was momentarily stunned, for he had likely not expected Jared to extend the courtesy to him. "Okay." Harvey quickly regained his composure and sat down, before calling the waiter over and ordering more dishes. "Mr. Ellison, if you have something to discuss, please do," Nicole asked in a businesslike manner. If they were to discuss work, it was best to maintain a professional attitude while they were at it. Harvey knew what she was doing, but he smiled and politely continued, "We can chat while eating too." He was not there to discuss work anyway. What he said about work earlier was just an excuse. His true intention was to stay. Even though he knew he was not welcome at their table, seeing Nicole's annoyance somehow brought him pleasure. Nicole frowned when she heard what Harvey had said. "I don't have the habit of discussing work during meals. If you don't wish to proceed, it's better to meet me at my office tomorrow, Mr. Ellison. If you don't want to talk, then just leave right away. Don't stay here and annoy people." "To keep such an attitude," Harvey said as if Nicole had wronged her. "I think it's fine. Besides, you're the one who wanted to collaborate, aren't you, Mr. Ellison?" Nicole shrugged calmly. After all, she was not the one who invited him to work with her. Heh. Harvey chuckled awkwardly. As it turned out, Nicole genuinely had no quarter to give him. He was livid as he gritted his teeth. Jared was there looking at him coldly and calmly, while Nicole was jabbing at him mercilessly. Then, the waiter approached him and served him his food. "Excuse me, your food is ready." "Let's eat." Nicole placed the dishes that Jared liked in front of him, whereupon Jared considerately passed some of the food to Nicole. The two of them displayed their affection without any care in the world, making Harvey's grimace even more sour by the minute. He seemed to have dug his own grave, and he suddenly felt that staying was a mistake. Then, it became clear as to why Jared was willing to let him stay. He had clearly wanted to see him being embarrassed right in the scene.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.